Steve Farhood again with NickCharles, my longtime broadcast partner and my best friend in the world. Nick, let's talk about boxing a little bit. For most of your career, for years and years, you were an anchor at CNN and a correspondent, and people knew you as a sports guy. Well, the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, you've been a boxing guy. And I know that you like that. You like that designation. Tell me about what it is about being known as a boxing guy that you appreciate so much.
It's the ardor of, getting out of a trap situation in life, and I see it with kids. When I grew up as a kid, very briefly, I was trapped a lot. My high school years were sort of robbed. I couldn't quit jobs that I hated. I was in dismal situations. And I said, I'm never going to be trapped. I'm going to be motivated. And I always related to fighters because they had nobody cared about them. Not everybody was Oscar De La Hoya coming up when you knew when he was 15 he was going to be somebody special. And I said, these guys want it so badly. First of all, there's nobody to blame. The shortstop dropped the ball. The guard didn't pull. The guy didn't get out on the wing on the break. It's you, and you have to fight through that fear. And you have to want something so badly. You have to take pain to give it. I boxed a couple of years at 14 and 15. I lost more street fights than I won by little guys who were just faster and had better chins than me, I guess. But I think the affinity I have for the game is just the ardor that these guys want to be somebody so badly, so badly. It's such a contrast to a support system in football or anything else, the Friday Night Light syndrome in Texas. You look at a kid in a San Antonio gym and it's 100 degrees and there's a big fan in front of him and nobody cares about him. But maybe he made it to a 4-round fighter, maybe 6, maybe he's a champion now. I saw him 10 years ago when I was doing a story in San Antonio, for example, and it absolutely fuels me. I just love the need to be somebody, and I defend boxing to the death. It saves more lives, I think, than it ruins.
No doubt. You've certainly left your mark as a boxing broadcaster. I think you're the greatest in the world. That should come as no surprise to anybody. But what do you think your mark is as a boxing broadcaster?
Well, sometimes I get over-involved. I love the game so much. I feel like you and I have worked together enough. It's like I got to stop analyzing so much, because,
but you knew the game. You learned the game.
Well, yes.
Inside out.
It's just the singularity to ask questions, to be so open. We go to these fighter meetings and you ask people anything, and most of the time you'll get great information. You're not going to get this canned answer from a NFL coach or something on what we're going to do Sunday, and they're just so brutally honest with themselves, and they do talk about the fear, and they do talk about the respect in an opponent, and they do talk about the weaknesses, and they're just so bluntly honest that I feel the preparation is so easy, and I love watching the tapes and immersing myself and just boiling it down to a one-page essence of how I feel this style and strategy of this fight's going to go, and being able to switch up. That's the hardest thing. We've worked together. Fights fall into patterns. What do you do if the same round? What if a guy is not a knockout artist and he's down 7-2 in rounds and you're in the 10th? What do you talk about at that point? But
that's when you're on your money.
Yes. And it's great. Boxing is great because you can hit a 9-run home run. You can't do it in baseball. If it's 8-1, the stadium's half empty.
Nothing like a last-round knockout.
Absolutely.
Jameel McCline, Cedric Boswell in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And how about those first rounns? How about the Bundridge and Powell?
Oh, God, double knockdown. Amazing. We've both been covering boxing. I mean, we first met in Vegas in the early 80s, maybe even late 70s.
Yes.
But you've been covering boxing like I have for over 30 years. Where do you think, this question we could talk about forever, but where do you think the sport is at now, and where do you think it's going?
Well, I think it's a crossroads. I know that there's enough money to make it a niche sport, but they're really isolating the average sports fan who, in Philadelphia, could name the third-string tight end on the New England Patriots, but can't name 6 boxers. Not 6 boxers. I'm not talking about heavyweights.
Right.
6 boxers, and it's bad for the sport. Very, very niche, very insular. But there is, again, it's the economic package. They've done the numbers. They could get it on terrestrial TV. It's going to be a good idea. I remember the old days, I hate to talk, but you'd walk through a chain store, JCPenney or Sears, And Ray Mancini's on TV, and he's on 20 television sets.
Right.
It was so prevalent on a Saturday afternoon. Or there's Cosell up there calling Randy Cobb. You know, it's just a different type of situation.
Can we get back to that, or is it gone forever?
I think it is, but I like the synergy that's being proposed now, you know, with the terrestrial TV along with, but the pay-per-views, you know, you build a star and all of a sudden he's unaffordable.
How many people are seeing it?
Yeah,
Right.
and it really, really hurts. So that's where I talk about the crossroads. But obviously they've done the math and they feel if they get the niche and the demographics are good enough, and let's face it, the Latinos are really keeping this game going in a young base. And then we have the over 50 fans. And then the MMA is something I think that's competing for sure. But I hope it could complement, I hope they could complement each other to a degree.
That's the plan. Difficult question to answer, but how, let's finish up with this. How would you define your personal relationship with boxing?
Oh, again, it's, you know me, Steve. I mean, these big hotels are great, and you sit and you occasionally. But I want to be in those little 40-room joints. I want to be in the hotel in Terre Haute, Indiana, where you're looking at every cut man, everybody official who comes in, all the corner men, all the support system, the guy, his wife, the opponent. They're sitting at the next breakfast table next to each other in this tiny little place where you make your own toast.
Right.
And you sit and you talk boxing all day. And the ardor I have for that is just unmatched. And I've covered every sport. The closest, I think, were the Olympics, you know, where somebody prepares 4 years and in 10 seconds they could blow it or something. They're all on their own. But there's nothing close to that boxing subculture. I love every timekeeper, judge, referee, fan. They know the game. They're knowledgeable. They're vocal. Ringside is the biggest rush in my professional life.
Right. Now that's saying a lot for a man who's covered every sport. NickCharles, this was fun. Boxing loves you. May God bless you, and I know he will.
Thank you, Steve. A pleasure.